Get ready. Helena Hustle is now live. Here, we will showcase successful leaders in business, athletics, healthcare, and all things that make Helena a great place to live. Join Dr. Daniel Bridge, owner of Endurance Chiropractic, as he searches out amazing individuals who are making a tremendous difference in this place we call home. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired with the Helena Hustle podcast.
Joslyn, thank you so much for coming onto the show. Is it Joslyn, 2 syllables, or Joslyn, 3?
Great question.
I have the best questions.
My mom would tell you that it's Joslyn, like there's a Z almost, Joslyn, but there's an S. I am open to all pronunciations.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Great. So Joslyn with a Z. Let's kick us off with 2 truths and a lie.
Okay, are you ready for this?
We'll see.
Okay. I am in a bowling league. I have lived in Bolivia, and I have a pet pig.
Whoa. I really hope the pet pig's true. So I'm going to say that you have never lived in Bolivia.
Wrong.
Oh, really? What was the lie?
I do not have a pet
Dang
pig.
My brother had a pet pig, Dandelion, and it was a cute little pig when he first got it, and then it turned into this giant pig in his house, which was really cool. So what took you to Bolivia?
That's wild. I used to have one of those jobs where I worked remotely.
Oh, wow.
I was, and so as long as I was on U.S. hours, I could really live anywhere. So South America, pretty much is on the same time zone as us. And so I got to live in like Argentina and Bolivia for like a month at a time with other professionals from around the world that also worked remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your company, or like, did they send you there, or you just said, hey, I'm going to Bolivia?
Yeah, no, I just went there and worked from there.
So the cost of living is cheaper there. You're making US dollars. Was it an expense with travel and everything, or did you save money when you did that?
It ends up costing more money. As far as cost of living, it ends up being about the same because by the time you airfare and pay for your place to stay, and I'm traveling with a group, which makes it slightly more expensive, but they're cultivating the group of people, which is priceless because traveling on your own by yourself is not quite as... It's not as fun.
No.
So price-wise, it ends up being about the same, unless you're paying double, unless you have a permanent home somewhere and you're paying rent somewhere, or a mortgage and you're traveling. But if you don't have a permanent home and you're just traveling, cost of living is about the same.
Wow.
Yeah. But also then while you're traveling, especially with this group that I would travel with, we would do weekend trips places. And so maybe actually a little bit more because you're doing lots of fun.
Having fun. Yeah. So how was living in Bolivia?
Awesome. I kind of speak Spanish.
Nice.
And so I do love traveling to Spanish speaking places as opposed to kind of with this same group. I did a month in Italy, and I really didn't like living somewhere not knowing the language.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, what a fun time. And then you're a bowler.
Yes.
How's your bowling game?
One of my strong passions. I used to bowl a lot, like in the college era maybe. And it's been a while, so I'm getting back in the swing.
Yeah. So I went to BYU. I took a bowling class, got credit, and then I transferred to BYU Hawaii, and their bowling class, it was so fun. Their bowling class was numbered differently. So I was able to take it again and get credit again. So I took bowling class twice.
You might be better than me. Did they teach you how to
spin it?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I got better, but I'm not a great bowler, but it is fun. I'd like to bowl more. So,
well, Helena has a lot of bowling leagues.
Yeah.
So hope to see you there.
Yeah. And then tell me a little bit more about yourself. Tell me about, so where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So basically until I was 18. And then I went to Vanderbilt, which is in Nashville.
Uh-huh.
And that's actually when I started doing music. It wasn't
Okay.
really until college.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just that, the Vanderbilt the Nashville, Vanderbilt's in Nashville.
Yeah.
And the Nashville music scene is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I got into was songwriting. And I mean, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a songwriter. I just didn't. And then that became my passion. And then after college, I was in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Time out real quick.
Yeah.
So what got you into music? Just because you're in Nashville, did you say, hey, this sounds fun? Or did you take a class or a friend or what?
It was particularly songwriting. So in Nashville, there's a lot of just songwriter shows. And so I would go to them and see these people that weren't necessarily the artists. They were just the songwriters playing the songs, telling the stories of the songs. And I just loved it. I mean, just fell in love. And I was like, I want to do that.
And so growing up, did you like sing in choir or play any instruments? Sing
You
in the
know,
shower?
Always singing.
Yeah. Okay.
Always singing. But I was playing sports.
Uh-huh.
And so I took, piano lessons for a couple years. I was in clarinet and band for a year, just small stuff. So nothing really.
Okay. And then at the time, what were you studying at Vanderbilt?
I was an engineering and math major.
Awesome. So that's not what I expected you to say, but that's cool.
That should have been one of my 2 truths and a lie.
Yes, you would have got me, which you did anyways, but yeah. Okay. And then, sorry, you went to Sun Valley, Idaho.
Then I was in Idaho for a couple years, started working in real estate there, moved to New York City, was doing like the Wall Street finance thing for like 7 years, and then moved back to Nashville. Still was working in commercial real estate finance. That was the remote job that let me travel. But that's also when I really got back into music and then eventually got good enough to do something with it.
Okay. And what brought you to Helena?
I have family here. So my sister and her husband have lived out here for 20 some years, kind of around Montana, but in Helena for about 7. Thus, I've spent a lot of time here, fell in love with it. They're here. My parents spend a lot of time here.
Great.
Yeah.
And you've been here for how long?
A year permanently, but 3 years off and on, because I went back to school a couple years ago and got a second undergraduate degree in music. And
Wow.
so then when I was summers and breaks, I was spending all my time in Helena. So
Okay.
yeah.
So a year permanently. And then is that when you started your current business, which is called what?
Music Together, Helena Valley.
Okay. And where are you located at?
I do my classes at Cohesion Dance Center or Cohesion Center. Are you familiar with where that is? It's right next to Lewis and Clark Brewery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. I love it so much. Music Together is this global program. So it was started by 2 Americans, PhDs in music and child development. And the program started in, I got my notes here, 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's been around for a long time. And it's all over the U.S. and then it's also in like 40 plus countries around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really well-established, amazing program because, I have the knowledge that I could come up with my own curriculum for a program like this, but, there are, this, and there are a few others, but this is really the best one, but such an amazing curriculum exists. So I'm licensing this program to teach it.
Why
here.
try to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
And maybe you'd have something as good as theirs in 36 years because they, right?
Right.
So have you seen that show? What's it called? Jiro Dreams of Sushi, I think. It talks about this guy. I think he's like 80 something years old and he's a sushi chef. And his son is like 50 or 60 years old. And they have this really fantastic sushi restaurant. They bring you out one piece at a time. It's a fascinating documentary. It's really expensive too. You pay, $500 for your meal. And they were interviewing the son. They said, are you as good as your dad? And I'm like, well, it's sushi. He's been doing it for 30 years. He's got to be as good as his dad. And he says, no, I'll never be as good as my dad. He's got 20 years on me. So even though they work together, there's still little tiny nuances that make their restaurant one of the best in the world. So, I mean, it totally makes sense to just borrow what somebody else has learned and then apply it.
Yeah. And then to add things if I want to, like I can add a song or an activity or, you're always making the curriculum your own and however you implement it. But where is that sushi restaurant?
It's in Japan.
Oh, in Japan. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to go. But so then you got the price of your ticket too, if you really want to eat there. So Joslyn, can you tell us a little bit about your curriculum?
Yeah, right now I'm offering 2 classes. The main class for Music Together is this mixed stages class, and it's for children ages 0 to 5 with a caregiver. So they can come with a parent or a grandparent or a nanny. And they're group classes, so there's anywhere, the max is like 10 or 12 in a class. And then I do another class, Rhythm Kids, which is one of their classes. It's for 5 to 8-year-olds. And so, in mixed stage class, you're working on basic music competency. And then once they've got that, then you're going a step further. Rhythm Kids does a little bit more drumming and sort of next level.
Nice.
They also have a babies class that I will probably offer at some point in the near future.
So tell me, like, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old even, in my mind, I'm like, they're not getting much out of it, but obviously you have it for them. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, sure. So, 0 to 5 is the age that us humans develop so many of our core competencies, right? Learning to walk, learning to talk, all those things, learning another language, right? It's like that's the critical sort of most important, best learning time for humans. So it's the same thing with 0 to 5, learning your basic music competencies. So learning how to audiate, tone and rhythm. It's the best time to learn those things. And so, they're not going to actually be able to maybe start singing until they're talking. But we do interesting tidbits in class. We do, in addition to the songs and the movements and all the things we do like tonal patterns and rhythm patterns. And the tonal patterns will be like ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. And, a babbling child can do that.
Oh, cool.
So there are like the building blocks to music, they call them. So, when you start talking, you just say sounds and you just say words, and then you build up to like sentences. So it's the same thing. You can build up to singing by matching the tones and and then as far as rhythm, they're with the adult. And in Music Together, one of the things of the program is you're actually teaching the adults maybe more than the kids, because the adults are the best role models for the children and like their specific adult, whether it be their nanny, their mom, their grandparent. And so it's teaching the adults what we're doing so that the adults can go home and do it with them,
cool.
Because the class time is just once a week. It's for 8 weeks.
How long is a class?
They're 45 minutes. Yep. But then, the program is amazing in that everybody gets these song books when they come to class, and the song books are incredible. They have the songs and illustrations. And so this is what, you take home with you. It also has access to all the songs online.
Wow.
So there's an app plus on the website, plus you get a CD. So the idea is that, you're going to learn stuff in class and do stuff in class, but you're also going to have it to take home with you.
Wow. So I have, as I told you, I've got 4 kids, but for the younger 2 are 1 and 4. So, and I'm thinking about my 4-year-old. I think it's something he'd probably enjoy. Can you tell me what a 45-minute class, how it's structured, kind of what it looks like?
Yeah, sure. So each collection of songs, so every session there's a collection of song, and I think there's 9 for each. So you could take the program for 3 years and have new songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we always start with the hello song. So there's a hello song, and maybe you do shakers with it. And we say hello to everybody. And then, you're going to pick whichever songs we're using that class. And some of them will be sitting and using body percussion. Some of them will be moving around. We play with scarves. We've got egg shakers. We've got big drums that we gather around to do drumming. We've got... what other instruments do we have? We've got lots of fun instruments. Every class includes a jam session where, after we've learned a bunch of stuff, then it's just a time to like free jam and play. And then every class has a lullaby. So to wind down at the end. Also, because lullabies are so helpful with small children, whether you're going to take it home and use it while you're putting them to bed or just winding down at any time. And then we have our goodbye song.
Cool.
Yeah, so we move and sing and play and use body percussion and instruments and scarves.
Cool. So we've talked a lot about the music side, but there's also, how would you describe it, the therapy side?
Oh, well, there's no particular therapy component to the classes as they are.
Gotcha.
So there is the Music Together program can be used aside from just like private classes like mine. The program can be used in schools, preschools, or elementary schools, and it can also be used by music therapists in their work.
I see.
But there's no exact component to that in the regular classes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any students that stick out in your mind that really flourished in your class and things that they were able to learn and develop with?
Yeah. I mean, so many, yes. It's so joyous and so wonderful. So there's an interesting thing where sometimes in class, or a lot of times, kids will just sit there and they'll just be absorbing, right? And and maybe they're not participating, but then they go home and they participate big. So like parents come back and tell me, what they've been doing at home. Like, for example, just as a transition between songs, sometimes I'll sing and I'll say, all done with drums, all done with drums, all done with drums. It's time to put them away. And one of the moms came back and she said her kid was just like singing that during, to help transition between activities, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, time to brush my teeth. Time to brush my teeth. You can just really use it for so many things.
Yeah. It sounds so fun. Like, I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah. It's truly so fun for the kids and the adults.
I've always loved music. But I didn't always love my music classes. Like a lot of times I just felt like I was at school. And this sounds fun. Like one of my regrets is that when I was in, I think 6th or 7th grade, when we first have band, I played the trumpet and I wanted to play the drums, but I got talked out of it because I think my parents didn't really want me to be in a band and it's, but I love percussion. So when I was in college, I actually took a Polynesian drumming class and they've got this big, kind of looks like a log. It's hollowed out with a slot in it. And then you have a big drumstick that kind of looks like a rhinoceros horn. It's tapered to a point. And I took that class twice. That was one of my favorite classes I ever took.
Did you take any other classes twice?
Mostly bowling and Polynesian drumming. So, but yeah, I always drove my teachers crazy because I was always drumming on things. And yeah, I would have loved having that at a young age to have that connection.
It is, and it's wonderful. And I think this is really important too. One of the big things for Music Together is the class is not to like make you a musician. It's not. So, and there's no recitals. Like, a lot of times, a 5-year-old might be in piano, or even 6 to the 8-year-olds, and they're doing music lessons and they have to do a recital. And like this program is not that. It's just about learning the basic music competencies and having those and having music as just a regular part of your life. So you can just play with family and friends for fun. And it's so good for our well-being and our brain development and so many things.
Yeah. So when are your classes?
Okay. This next session, I'm doing them on Saturday mornings, starting September 23rd. They'll go for 8 weeks until the beginning of November.
People don't just jump in. You wait till the start of an 8-week session.
Yeah.
Do you do a break between 8-week sessions?
Yeah. I'll usually do a month or a month and a half between the sessions, and then there's 4 sessions a year.
Okay. And so say that again. The next session starts September what? September
23rd.
Okay.
It's on Saturday mornings. And I'm doing the mixed stage class and the rhythm kids class.
And they're at what times?
9:15, 10:15 mixed stage, and then the rhythm kids is 11:15.
Oh, so you have 3 classes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to learn more, talk to you, get in touch with you, sign up for class, how would they do that?
Yes. Got to make sure I'm giving everybody the right information here. So I have a Facebook page, Music Together, Helena Valley.
Okay.
That's a great place to get all the info. And then my email is mthelenavalley@gmail.com. And then phone number 406-272-5306.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else, Joslyn, that you'd like people to know about Music Together?
So much, but super critical. No, just that it's really fun. And it's obviously a great way for kids and adults to meet each other, and you should come.
Sounds good.
Check it out.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Helena Hustle Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Helena Hustle Podcast.